Super Bowl 60 is here. It is in a couple of days, and we have a full breakdown on today's show from our game picks, predictions, best bets. We have everything on this one-stop shop. So if you enjoy, drop a like and subscribe, but get in the comment section below and let us know who you think wins this game. The New England Patriots come in at 17-3 as winners of 6 straight. They're going to be playing the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are 16-3, winners of 9 straight. Both teams come into this big dance with a top 8 offense and a top 8 defense. Amir, welcome to the Super Bowl 60 preview. It's bittersweet because on one end, the season is one game away from being over, but it's also the most anticipated game of the season. But before we get into our official game picks, for those at home, I do this every single year. There's some fun facts that I want to throw out there. And if you're tuning in for the first time this year and you know nothing about these teams, here's a quick snapshot. For New England, and if you want to back them in this game, these are some things that you want to look for. New England will be wearing white in this matchup, and teams that wear white in the Super Bowl are 37-22. They win 63% of the time. So if you're a New England fan, yes, you come in as underdogs, but history is on your side. Now for New England, they're 9-0 on the road this season, which is the first team in NFL history to achieve that mark. So they are warriors on the road, which technically doesn't help them in this game as it's a neutral site. But going away from Foxborough, they're a very good team. They haven't trailed at all at halftime since week 3. So for New England, a team that is coming into this game fully healthy, which, by the way, a fully healthy New England Patriots defense is 17-0 this season. They haven't lost a game. They have kind of completed a complete season being undefeated. With all those positives, all those things going in New England's favor, there's also a con and there's also a big negative. They have the least amount of points from a team that has made the Super Bowl in NFL history, and that's by at least a touchdown margin comparative to the 2000 Ravens, which didn't have an offense at all. They just had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Amir, quick thoughts on the Patriots heading into this matchup. There's some things going for them, but there's also one big stat going against them.
Obviously, statistically, the defense is amazing, right? But, I was kind of doing some digging, just kind of looking at the structure of their entire season. I mean, they haven't really played any good offenses. I think they only played against it might have been like 4 top 5 offenses. Oh, no, actually, it's crazy. I think it was top 15 offenses based off points per game, and 2 of those games were Buffalo, and they lost one. And the defense is good, don't get me wrong, but I'm just extremely concerned with the offense, and I'm also extremely concerned because they never played an offense like Seattle since playing Buffalo, where they lost. And they played against, obviously, a Chargers team with two beat-down tackles, right? A completely depleted offense. They played against Houston with Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, and that's a bad matchup for Houston offensively. Then they played against Jarrett Stidham, and now they got to play against Seattle. And I'm extremely concerned because this is not only the best offense that they're going to play, but this is also going to be arguably the best defense they're going to be playing the entire playoff run. And I understand Houston has a great defense, but it's a lot harder to play defense when your offense can't stay on the field. And so it's going to be a tough matchup for them.
Yeah, for Houston, it also doesn't help when your quarterback throws 4 interceptions. Let's not forget, that was one of the worst postseason playoff games I've seen from any player in NFL history. And for C.J. Stroud, for that to happen to him, that was unfortunate. But New England this year, there was that graphic that came out that every single team they've played, I think all but 2 opponents in the regular season, their coach were fired or let go this offseason. And that's just, hey, New England can't control who's in front of them, but they are taking advantage of what's in front of them. They're capitalizing on this, easier schedule, and they've made it to the big dance. So you can wipe away all this doubt, all this negativity around your successful season if you could go out there this upcoming Sunday and prove that you belong here and you win this big time game. I don't know. Again, it hasn't been pretty offensively for this team, but maybe the MVP is going to be the MVP in this game and single-handedly wins you this one. But let's talk about their opponent, Seattle. They're going to be wearing all navy in this matchup. And when you look at the 3 Super Bowls that Seattle's been in, they've wore navy twice. In those 2 games, they lost both of them to the Steelers in 2006 and to the Patriots, of course, in that Malcolm Butler game-saving interception late. The one Super Bowl they won in dominant fashion, they were wearing white tops. So for all Navy, as far as the Seattle Seahawks go in the Super Bowl, it hasn't been successful. However, they win 70% of the total games that they've played since debuting this jersey in 2012. So, again, for the superstitious people out there, that is a stat for you. All Navy hasn't worked in the Super Bowl, but they win 70% of the time. This is a Seattle team that comes into this matchup number one in the NFL this season in DVOA on offense and defense. We've brought this stat up in recent weeks and for good reason. There have been 6 teams in NFL history that have achieved that mark, and 5 of them have gone on to win the Super Bowl. Seattle looks to be the 6th of 7th. Of course, they have a very good squad on both sides of the ball. Speaking of their one big flaw, at least as far as the general NFL fan would say, well, they have Sam Darnold. How did they get to this point? They must have a great defense, and Sam Darnold's going to lose them this game. However, Sam Darnold has been very successful. He's won more games than any other player at all over the last 2 seasons. He's done it with 2 different franchises. And he's also coming off of the best game of his career, point blank, period. Big stage at home against the Rams, a team that he struggled against in the regular season, and he dominated them from the start to the end of the game. Of course, advancing his Seattle Seahawks to the big dance. Amir, your thoughts on the Seattle Seahawks?
So, for Seattle, and this has been a common theme I've been saying the entire year. Actually, I've been saying a couple things, right? One thing that's been mostly impressive, why I've been so fully convinced on Seattle winning is even those games where Darnold struggles, right? I think Darnold has 3 games this year where he's thrown multiple picks, and he's won 2 out of those 3 games. The only loss they had, they only lost by 2 points to the Rams. And so, this Seattle team, they've shown that they've been able to carry the load and also win when he's struggling. And it's like on top of that, I remember when Gruden, one of his biggest, biggest points for drafting Sam Darnold was he has a short-term memory. This guy can go out, throw a couple picks, and then go ahead and put together a game-winning drive. And that's been extremely impressive for me watching Sam Darnold. And so, I'm really not even that concerned if he struggles a bit because it's like this team is playing so great. They kind of pick up his lack. And honestly, I really want to go and just look and see. They basically haven't lost whenever he throws interceptions. He's thrown 14 picks this year, hasn't turned the ball over in the last 3 games. It's like it does not matter. The defense is great. The running game has really elevated too, and that's been extremely impressive. And I would be terrified to play this team. Terrified.
Amir, really quickly, go check that Tampa Bay game. That Tampa Bay game, that was an absolute shootout that they lost late at home. Check if he threw an interception in that one because I know Tampa Bay didn't generate many turnovers. This has nothing bad against Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks. I'm just genuinely curious because that was a very high-scoring game.
Yeah, so actually it's crazy. So he went ahead and he threw. Yeah, so he threw an interception,
He
right?
did, okay.
And then they go to Jacksonville on the road, win. And me and you both had Jacksonville winning that game, I believe.
Yes.
And then he has a 4-game stretch where he throws 7 interceptions, and they go 3-4 in that stretch. That's insane.
4 of his interceptions came in 1 loss to the Rams earlier this season. So that's definitely a big chunk of that negative production there that I guess, pops out on the stat sheet for those that are looking for it. But Amir, are you superstitious at all? Do you, as a Seattle believer, I'm not going to give away your pick here, but are you superstitious at all the fact that when they wear all Navy in the Super Bowl, it doesn't really go well for them?
Not really, especially with this being like a newer franchise, right? This is a completely new team, than their last Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah,
So
definitely a different
I'm
era.
not, yeah, and so I'm not too superstitious, especially because I think all the cards are in their favor. They're playing a team that probably shouldn't even be in a Super Bowl right now.
I think in an average year, this could just have been another year where Mahomes, if they made the playoffs, maybe he snuck his way into the big dance because that's just what they've done so many times in recent years. But again, New England, there's a lot of good things going for you, but also the offense needs to pick it up. And for Seattle, of course, you've been dominant all season. I will say this. The spread right now is 4.5 points in favor of the Seattle Seahawks. This game, however, the over-under set at 45.5. Amir, I want to ask you your thoughts because before we get into our best bets section, which we don't have the traditional game line picks and best bets for you guys this week, and we'll talk about that in a moment. We wanted to get fun this week. But as far as the spread and the over-under, where would you lean in this game? Because there's 2 great run defenses, and it's going to force both of these offenses to really throw the football if things go as we project them to?
This is extremely difficult for me. Um, but it's like also too, I'm kind of in a place where I kind of want to lean towards the over, and the
I
reason
agree.
why is because the Patriots, they have some moments where they play against some high-powered offenses and they give up a lot of points. Same thing with Seattle, and I mean this playoff run, we kind of already mentioned it, right? They go, I mean they play a depleted Chargers team, a depleted Houston Texans team, and it was at 44 points. They play against the Denver team in the blizzard against Jarrett Stidham, but it's like before that. I mean, I'm kind of looking at it here. I mean, they had six straight games where they went way over this line in the regular season, and so I think this is a scenario where it could really go over.
Yeah, I agree on the over. I do want to say, despite what my pick is going to be here in a moment, when I look at these teams, I do think we're going to get the best offensive game, of this postseason from the New England Patriots. I do, however, think that Seattle can match that and maybe even be a lot better. But I do think that this spread, I would actually lean towards New England if I'm betting this game straight up. I think it could be a 24-20 kind of a game, a 23-20 kind of a game. And I guess in that case, it would lean towards the under. But personally, I think it could be a 27-24 game where no matter who wins, the spread will be covered and it will go over the total. So I'm with you on the over. As far as the spread, are you leaning towards Seattle or New England?
This is what I'm wrestling with a little bit because I think -4.5 could be a bit big, but I don't know why. I could also see Seattle just smoking New England and just catching them off guard because I do not like New England's offense. I think the safer pick would be to take New England. If it was at like -2.5 or -3, and
Yes.
I would take that, but I could literally see them winning by like 4 points on the dot or winning by like 3 points.
Yeah, if it's anything under three, there for the Seattle Seahawks, I think it's a smash play for Seattle. But when you start to get above a field goal in a game that with two great defenses, lower scoring, I'm going to take the points there in that one. So if I had to lean towards the traditional route, New England and the over. Now, last week, the Rams let me down. Excuse me. 2 weeks ago, the Rams let me down. And on the season, we are neck and neck, 193 and 90 to 193 and 90. We are both guessing games at a 68% clip this season, which is actually a down year on the channel. But let's go. Amir, Super Bowl 60. Before we get into our best bets, we have to make our official game predictions. You know where we stand on the spread. You know where we stand on the over-unders. But straight up, money line. Who are you taking, Amir? Who is going to win Super Bowl 60? New England or Seattle?
I'm taking Seattle.
Uh, Pretty straightforward. Look, you know where I stand off the show. I was a big fan of Seattle all season long. I was a bit higher on them than I probably should have been early in the season. They climbed up spots in my power rankings every single week until week 14. However, we can't end this season on a tie. We cannot go into the offseason having a tie. That's no fun for the show. So give me New England. I'm gonna say that like I actually do believe this. We're gonna get the best offensive game from New England with 2 weeks to prep, and Drake May indoors is a lot better quarterback. I think we're gonna get the best showing from this offense, whether if it's on the run game or the passing game. And I think they put up a fight. So give me New England to pull off a shocker. I think America's on Seattle. The sports books know that they can get a lot of money off those Seattle bettors. And New England, unfortunately, will raise the Lombardi. But for Drake May, I've been a big believer. And he's going to help New England get back to the top of the mountain. By the way, they would then become the winningest NFL franchise in NFL history as far as how many Lombardis they have compared to the Steelers. Here we go. Super Bowl 60 is here. It's the big dance, and we're trying to make you some big money from favorite game lines, player props, and a double your money parlay. We have it all here in the next couple of minutes. As always, leave your favorite best bets in the comments section below. Now, on the season, if you're new around here, these are the receipts of how we did all season long, because all season long, we gave you our favorite game lines and 2 player props each and every week. We are at least at a 55% clip. So if you've tailed our picks, you are in the green this season. But here we go. As I'll throw this out there, if you are only tuning in for this part of the show, because I like to split these up. As far as our traditional picks, we are leaning towards New England on the spread and the over on the 45.5. But for this video, we want to go with some superlatives, some funner bets here because it is Super Bowl Sunday, and we like to have some fun. My game line is going to be something that you can get only on Super Bowl Sunday, and it is going to win you double your money before the game even kicks off. I'm going to take heads. When I looked at the history of New England in the Super Bowl, they've called the coin toss the majority of the time. And every single time that they've had the chance to, they have actually chosen heads. Now, it's a different regime here with Mike Vrabel and Drake May compared to Belichick and Brady. But every single time they've been in the Super Bowl, they've chosen heads. And every single time they've won the Super Bowl, superstitiously, they've chosen heads again. They've won the coin toss. So again, before the game even kicks off, I'm choosing heads to be the coin toss result. Amir, you're going with something a little bit more traditional here for a traditional, a big time game. But this is the weirdest game line prop you've picked all season long. So run me through this. I don't even know at this point.
I have a really weird prop. I wanted to end the season on a good note, and so I'm going New England Patriots under 1.5 quarters won. This is a really weird prop, I know, but this is, a prop that I'm really confident in. To kind of list off my notes. First of all, Seattle, they're the hottest team in football. I trust them in this big time game. I think they have a better defense, better offense. Their last 10 games, no team has won two or more quarters against them in their nine out of the last 10 games. And even in the last 12 Super Bowls, the winner or the loser of the Super Bowl in the last 12 Super Bowls, they went under this line in 8 out of the last 12 and 3 out of the last 4. So that's around 67% and a 75% hit rate in the last 4. And I just think this is a game where even if it goes over, I just trust Seattle's offense. I could see them end up, blowing the door open later in the game. Or if it's, two good defenses and the offenses look trash, I just trust Seattle. I could literally see them having quarters where it's like, one field goal each in each quarter or scoreless in each quarter. And so I love Seattle. I'm leaning towards them here.
Yeah, I didn't even know this was a prop. I didn't even know you could bet something like this, but in traditional Amir fashion, he's going to find these things and get them out to you guys. But again, these are not your traditional plays, but it's Super Bowl Sunday. Let's have some fun. I'm going heads on the coin toss. Amir is going with Seattle to dominate as far as who wins every single quarter. Let's go into player props. Now, these are going to be your traditional game lines where you can bet these and get pretty much guaranteed profit if they do cash. I'm going to go with a running back here. I'm going to go with Seattle. Now, of course, Zach Charbonnet is done for the season. It has been on the shoulders of Ken Walker for the majority of this playoff run, and he is running like a madman in recent weeks. He has been dominating. However, he's playing one of the top 2 run defenses in the league this season, and only one starter has gone over their over-under rushing yards line this season against the New England Patriots defense, and that was James Cook, someone who had the opportunity to play the Patriots twice this season. Long story short, Ken Walker, I know he's a one-man band in that backfield, but you can't run on this New England front. I think New England can live with the fact of, well, we lost to Sam Darnold and his arm rather than we let this offense get the ground game going and they were able to do whatever they wanted to when they look back at this game, no matter the result. So Ken Walker under 80.5 rushing yards. You can get this on Fanatics. Yes, he's been going over this line, but not this time. In Super Bowl Sunday, it's going to have to be on Sam Darnold's shoulder that wins them this game. Amir, you're going with a line with an opposing team's running back, but this line's been covered in 70% of games this season.
I'm going Travion Henderson over 1.5 receiving yards. Like I say, I love taking weird props with high hit rates. I love this prop. I just think this is an avenue in which me and you both, we've been really hyping up the Seahawks run defense. Actually, both run defenses. Yes. And this is an avenue in which Drake May, Vrabel, they're going to throw the football. They're not going to be able to run the football, in my opinion. I think he went under the past 2 weeks, but last week, Ramondre ran the ball 25 times. It was a blizzard. Obviously, in a game like that, you're going to give the ball to your 225-pound running back to really just chew the clock out. And they ran the ball a lot on third downs last week. This week, the weather's clear. Seattle's run defense should shut them down. They should get a lot of third down opportunities. And Travion, he's covered this in 14 out of 20 games on the season, including – let me see what I got right here. Also, too, Seattle, they give up the 6th most receptions to running backs in the league.
I was going to say, yes.
Which is crazy. And they give up the most – actually, no, the most receptions to running backs in the league and the 6th most receiving yards to running backs. And so I love this prop here. This is my favorite prop, arguably on the whole year.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at how dominant these run defenses are, I can see all three running backs in this game when you have Ken Walker, Travion Henderson, and Ramondre getting two or more receptions because these defenses get after it, right? Whether if there's a stone wall in the run game or if they're putting pressure on the quarterback. I think these quarterbacks that have never been on this stage before, they're going to want to get some easy completions, and that can be done there to the tight ends and to the running backs. So watch out for all three running backs to have a big day in the receiving game. Now, when we get into our second player props, when I look at this game as a whole, I see that this, yes, you have JSN, you have Cooper Kupp, two very talented wide receivers, but then matched up against the New England secondary, they're going to have their hands full. And I wouldn't be shocked if JSN is shadowed the entire game, being double coverage, putting a lot of pressure on Cooper Kupp and the rest of this wide receiver room. So if that's the case, and they also can't run the football, you got to do something to open up this offense, to make the rest of this offense's job easier, right? Sam Darnold, Clint Kubiak, the play caller. And I think the best way to do that is to get the ball in a player that's so electric's hands that he just needs one touch to break the game open. Rashid Shaheed, of course, he's had a tremendous playoff run so far, but I'm going to take him over 28 and a half total yards, basically, there as 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, rather, against the San Francisco 49ers. He had 27 yards on one carry. That was his only touch of the game. Against the Rams 2 weeks ago, he had 51 yards on one reception. He can do this on one play. Now, that's not the safest bet as far as his volume, but when I look at this game, they're going to get the ball to JSN as much as possible, but in order to open up the bigger shots down the field, Rashid Shaheed's going to be a guy where they can give him a jet sweep in the backfield, a guy that they can throw a little tunnel screen to and just let him gain a lot of yardage because he's so electric with the ball in his hands. So Rashid Shaheed, long story short, I think they have to get him the ball. And over 28 and a half total yards for Mr. Shaheed. Amir, you're going with a guy that's the quarterback of the team you're backing in this game, and he's coming off of the best game of his career.
There is no better way for me to end the season than taking the picks I've been taking all year, and that's Sam Donald to go under for an interception. I mean, this is plus 100. This is definitely risky, right? I just brought up how he threw 14 picks on the season, but watching him play these last 3 weeks, he hasn't thrown an interception, in the past three games, and I just love the way Kubiak and his offense is running. It's a combination of being conservative, but also just taking these smart deep shots, and you aren't seeing them force a lot of things. And the run game has elevated a lot. Obviously, it's a big concern, and I think they're going to throw the football a lot more this game. But I just trust them. I think the run game will be just enough to kind of just get the offense flowing a bit. Seeing Kenneth Walker be completely just unleashed instead of seeing him having to rotate, I love it a lot. And I just love this prop here. It's more so
Yeah.
of a gut feeling, and I think I'm like 8 out of 10 this year on these interception props. So I love it.
Yeah, if Sam Darnold doesn't throw an interception and Seattle finds the way to win, I mean it's pretty much a layup as far as who's going to be the MVP of this game. Which, by the way, before we get into this double your money parlay, Amir, you are going with Seattle to win this one. Who do you want to see, and who do you think will be the Super Bowl MVP?
Honestly, I think Donald's going to win MVP, and I know it's pretty basic and cut and dry, but I just think this is a game where he just ends the season off the way he's been playing, and and it's crazy because last year, he got a lot of slander in the playoffs. This year, he's playing great, and I just think this is where you'll kind of see that youth from the England kind of show, and you'll just see Darnold being the oldest person or like the main veteran on the offensive side of the ball, moving the football. I just think this is where he kind of rallies that team,
Yeah.
and I can see him throwing for two touchdowns, like 250 yards, and is winning this football game. So I think he's winning it.
Give me a long shot. Long shot. It could be a defensive player. It could be a kicker. It could be the backup running back for Seattle, Houdini. Give me a long shot here. If Seattle were to win, who would you want to see bring home that award?
Hmm. A long shot. I would want to see like Rashid Shaheed having a having a having a performance just like
Two
it's
kickoff
like
returns.
exactly like. But I mean, just like Trenton Holiday against the Ravens in the playoffs, he have like a kick return for a touchdown or like a punt return for a touchdown, and it's has like 80 yards receiving. That would be crazy.
Now I'm going with New England, so of course Drake May is the obvious selection. Outside of Drake May, a long shot. Let me get a Christian Gonzalez. Let's say he has a big day. Now again, you picked no interception. But if New England's going to win, we're going to have to force some turnovers. So Christian Gonzalez, I love the prospect. So let's go with him to be one of the first and maybe only corners to ever win the Super Bowl MVP award. But let's get out of here. Amir, run us through a double your money parlay. So if you don't want to take the straight lines that we just gave you, you can just run this and it can be over pretty much after the first quarter.
I absolutely love this play. We keep on bringing it up. Both run defenses are good. They're gonna have to throw the football a lot. I mean, I like Seattle to win this game straight up. And with this prop, you don't have to worry about any type of plus spreads or anything. Just take the Seattle money line straight up, or just take Seattle, plus I don't know, like plus 3.5 or something. I don't know. I love Cooper Cup for 2+ receptions. I took him last week at over 2.5 receptions. I think he's covered his line in the last like 11 out of 12 games, and you've seen him get the ball a lot more these past weeks than Rashid Shaheed. It's the biggest game all season. I trust him to be able to get at least 5 receiving yards. All he needs is one reception for a
Right.
decent amount of yards. He needs one to shovel pass, whatever it may be. I love this prop or this exact play to end the season off.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, I love Shaheed's just overall ability and maybe have like a 40 to 50 yard total day because so much focus is going to be on these star wideouts there for Seattle. They're going to have to get other people involved. Amir, that is going to do it. It's been an incredible season here as I think this was your first full season on the channel as far as week 1 to week 22, week 23, whatever it is, breaking down the NFL on a weekly basis. Actually, I want to ask you something before we officially close this show. Given the game that you think Sam Darnold's going to have, of course, no interception, Seattle wins the game, and he is Super Bowl MVP. We've seen it before with quarterbacks' performances. CJ Stroud after his rookie year. We saw it with Jaden Daniels last year. We saw it with Justin Herbert in his younger career and Jalen Hurts last year. Do you think that Sam Darnold can get boosted up into those top 10 quarterback conversations if all of these things that you are projecting come true?
I think he definitely will, and I think rightfully so. He deserves it. And he isn't obviously the most flashy quarterback, but the thing that stands out to me more than almost any quarterback in the league is that one, I kind of brought up earlier, he has a short-term memory. He bounces back, and even though he has some lows, he has some extreme highs. And also, too, when you watch him, I think between him and a few of the quarterbacks in the league, he's up there in the elite talks in terms of he's a quarterback that every coach wants to have. Like when you watch him, it looks like he does everything that the coach asks him to do. It looks like he does everything that he's coached to do. Everything is on time. And I don't know what Kevin O'Connell did with this game, but I think he should definitely be top 10 personally. And he's obviously not going to be in those elite talks because a lot of those are narratives, and also too, just off talent alone, I think a lot of guys could succeed in this position. But I think his play style and the way he's been playing, he has a formula that has to conclude with this winning game somehow.
Is he better than Justin Herbert if he wins the Super Bowl?
Absolutely not.
I'm just asking because in 2 weeks' time from now, we're gonna have our regular yearly show where we rank the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL going into next season. And I just throw that out there because if he has the game that you are projecting, that's gonna be a very interesting conversation. But Amir, any last thoughts, man? This was an incredible season, a lot of parity, and a Super Bowl that we never would have expected. Last thoughts before we get right into Super Bowl 60.
No last thoughts. I just want to say, screw the Chiefs because they're the reason why we're both under 70%. I mean, I think we took them for like 7 games and they lost all those games and screwed us over.
Hey, don't forget the Cardinals, man. I had them making the playoffs.